and it's a reminder to those in attendance that you should refrain from making any defamatory statements. And we're opening the meeting at 4:12 on Thursday, the 24th of April. Firstly, councillors, I would like to welcome Ms. Gaylene Burley as our new CEO to her first council meeting.
Oh, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could ask for you to stand while we do the acknowledgement of country and also do some anti-gay acknowledgements. Yass Valley Council recognises the Ngunnawal people, the traditional custodians of the land, water and sky. We pay our respect to their elders, past, present and future emerging leaders. We extend our respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who live in the Yass Valley local government area. And now the prayer. Councillors, as we commence our meeting, please join me in the prayer or take this moment to reflect. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon this council. Direct and prosper our deliberations to the true welfare of Australia and the people of Yass Valley. Amen. Amen. Councillors, could you please continue to stand? I'll ask Councillor Alvaro Cherry to read the ode and then we'll proceed with a minute's silence.
Thank you, Madam. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember. Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. Councillors will hold a minute's silence in recognition of our fallen soldiers from all military conflicts. Thank you, councillors, for that mark of respect. We'll now commence our meeting. So our first point of business is to grant a leave of absence for Councillor Kristen Butler. I can have a mover.
I'll move.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath and Councillor Burgess. All those in favour? So moved. We have no other apologies. Declarations of pecuniary interests and special disclosures. Councillors, I would like to note a not significant, non-pecuniary, but I will leave the meeting disclosure for the questions with notice, Murray Bateman Playground. Item 8.1, as a family member, is on the parish board of land which is proposed as an alternate. I'll just leave these there. Any other topics of interest or disclosures to make? Okay, thank you, councillors. We'll proceed with the items of business. Item 4, our minutes of ordinary council meeting held on the 27th of March 2025. I have a mover, so moved Councillor Cherry and Councillor Flannery. Any comments from our mover and seconder? I would like to make a clarification. During debate on the mayoral minute for the COVID vaccine, Councillor Carter raised a point on my advocacy without councillors' endorsement for the Parkwood development. I just wanted to clarify that letter did go before the November council meeting, but was post the date of the letter being written. It was written on the 18th, it was posted on the 21st. My recollection of that was actually inaccurate, so I thought it after our meeting, so I do apologise for that. However, I was acting on a resolution of council made as part of the previous body of council in the previous term. And in no way does that invalidate the decision made, but I just wanted to clarify that my recollection was incorrect. So councillors, if there's no further comment on the minutes, let's vote to have them accepted. That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. On to the reports to council. Item 6.1, the Victoria Park Crown Reserve additional purpose and relocation of Yass account. We have a recommendation before us, council. So councillors, we have that the relocation from the pool house to the site of the existing cricket nets and the relocation of these cricket nets located in Victoria Park be supported. And that 2, the Minister for Lands and Property be requested to authorise an additional purpose of community facilities to facilitate the relocation of Yass FM, and that 3, a further report be presented to council if the additional purpose is approved for Victoria Park by the Minister for Lands and Property on proposed endorsements to Victoria Park Plan Management to facilitate the relocation of Yass FM. Councillor Flannery, are you moving or do you have an alternate?
I have an alternate.
Okay, thank you. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I support the support and all the people in Yass FM that have really do give up their time and resources to make the community of Yass FM a great radio station. I also recognise the need for a permanent home for the radio station, and that its current facility or the current location is limited. I just would like to err on the side of caution as to pigeonholing it into the Yass cricket nets site. And so, given there's a whole range of changes, planning changes that are required to have an additional use put into Victoria Park, I feel that it's pertinent to have the use of Victoria Park or the community use enabled, and then to look at where the asset could be.
Okay. So, Councillor Flannery, if you can read out your motion, and then we'll seek a seconder, and then we'll get you to explain.
Sure.
Sure.
Sorry, I've done the explanation first.
That's
So
okay.
Council reaffirms its ongoing support for Yass FM as a volunteer-led community resource and acknowledges the broadcaster's long-standing commitment to Yass and the region. That the second point is the Minister for Lands and Property, which is the relevant minister, be requested to authorise an additional purpose of community use for Victoria Park, being Crown Reserve 530056, to facilitate other suitable community uses or facilities. We probably should change facilities to use. If the additional purpose of community use is approved for Victoria Park by the Minister for Lands and Property, in point 2, a further report on proposed amendments to the Victoria Park Plan of Management be presented to Council, and also perhaps it should include the master plan. The report to Council, referenced in point 3, give consideration to the relocation of Yass FM from the pool house to an alternative suitable location.
Okay, do we have a second? Sorry, Councillor Cameron? Okay, now Councillor Flannery, if you'd like to now put your case, if you need to any further for the reasons behind it.
I don't need to make any further recommendations, but really I feel that we need to make planning changes as the initial step, and once those planning changes have been made to allow further community use in Victoria Park to be agreed by the Minister, then we can look at a suitable location for the Yass area.
Thank you, Councillor Frank. Councillor Cameron. Any speakers against?
I just have a question, Madam.
Certainly, Councillor
It's
Cameron.
probably to the CEO. Do we need to extend the original motion which allowed for Yass FM to continue to use the pool house that was on the basis of around poor construction and other bits and pieces. I wonder if we need to add this to the motion as well, just to ensure that our have facilities up until the point we're able to have an appropriate venues.
Thank you, Councillor Carter. I do recall reading the minutes where there was a 3 months, so I think that was extended after that. I'm just going to refer to Director of Planning. I don't recall a time limit being put on that.
No, so through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor, in the report it talks about the notice of motion on the 28th of March 2024. It says that Yass Efron be permitted to continue leasing the pool house on a 12-monthly basis with 6 monthly extensions until such time any construction for an indoor pool and upgrade of the Yass Memorial Pool has been scheduled.
So we can facilitate a 6-month extension. Thank you, Councillor Carter.
I guess I have a follow-up question for the Director of Planning. Does the motion before us allow for the essence of the recommendation to proceed that is in the body of the report? Like, are we missing any steps if we use this one? We can still achieve the outcome of using the cricket grounds area, just not locking this in, is that?
No, well, my understanding from the, sorry, through you and to you, I understand from the comments from Councillor Flannery is that you would like us to look for other sites within Victoria Park, is that correct?
I think we should explore a range of options. I just don't want the Yass FM to have to use that site where the cricket nets are. So I feel that we should get the planning changes done, and it doesn't preclude them from using it. It just doesn't mean that they are set in that spot.
Just a clarification, we did pick that spot with Yass FM.
That's kind of a new point in a way, isn't it? Because although that's their preferred site, all I'm seeking through the motion is that we do the planning changes and we don't pigeonhole them, because you might find an asbestos pit there, you might find something there and they go, we don't want to use this, in our motion in the original one would be saying that is where it is.
Could I make a suggestion then that you could amend this motion to identify the crickets as Yass FM's and Council's preferred location, with others as other areas could be alternates if that's not suitable.
You could do that, but I'm just wondering why you would do it, because all we're seeking is changes to the planning. We're seeking a broad brush. Let's do the changes to the planning, let's change the plan of management, let's look at the master plan. It probably should, yes, and the master plan has been added in. And we recognise that it is a preferred spot, but what it does is gives us scope to have a look. Because what about if the pool house, the new pool facilities, was able to have a purpose-built radio station in it? I mean, that could be an option. And that would stop another isolated building that we built over there and to be able to use amenities and all of those things. So.
Thank you, Councillor Flannery. Do we have any other speakers for or against?
Can I just clarify? Councillor Flannery, can I just ask a question, just so we make sure we do the right thing? Is that you're happy for us to look at Victoria Park? Do you want us to look beyond Victoria Park or only Victoria Park?
I am not seeking in this motion for you to look anywhere at the moment. I'm saying just because you've done an extensive look and I haven't looked at the papers, and what the amended motion is seeking to do is to enable planning changes so that we can have an additional use in Victoria Park. It's not seeking you to go anywhere else at the moment. That could be a separate thing that, we could do some scoping work. What we're saying is we support Yass FM, we think it's good to have them there, they like it there, we like them there, but the pool house could be a whole other conversation to have. I just think having these isolated buildings that have all their own structures in there might not be the best use for that park.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Flannery. I have a follow-up question to the Director. Does this motion give you enough scope to specify to the Minister what you need and the preceding steps.
Through you to you, I think, yes, I think that's fine. We could just request the additional use because we did note in the report that we think there's some issues around some other uses that are occurring at Victoria Park.
Thank you. Councillors, any further questions? Okay, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Moving on to item 6.2, the Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly for 2025. We have a recommendation before us of councillors, and we need to secure the voting delegate and also other options for the non-voting delegate. So currently we have a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover?
I'll move the recommendation.
Now we need to determine the councillor as part of.
Do we have a second?
Oh, sorry, seconder. Thank you, councillor Maxwell. Councillors, I have had a request from the Deputy Mayor that she attend as the other councillor to attend along with the Mayor.
No.
Councillor McGrath, are you happy to
Yes,
introduce
include that.
Councillor Butler? And the Chief Executive Officer, Ms. Galen Burnley, will be attending in person. Excellent. Now this also brings forward our June 25 council meeting to the 19th. And because of the conflict of the 26th of June. Just wanted to note that that is also part of the recommendation in part 3. Any questions or comments? Speakers for or against? Councillor Cameron, you speaking for?
Well, I thought you were asking for some discussion about point 3. As far as I'm concerned, 19th of June is not a satisfactory date from my point of view, having only a week ago booked a plane trip to Queensland to visit my older sister, who's not particularly well, and I think it's a little bit unfortunate that we always seem to go back to a following Thursday, and I think there are other councillors here who are having difficulty with that date. And my suggestion at the recent meeting was that it should be moved forward to the following Monday, where the people who are attending the conference can give a report on their activities at the dinner and their successes, of course. Thank you.
Can I just confirm that that would be, you're seeking Monday the 23rd?
Yes, I think it's the 23rd.
Tuesday. Madam Mayor, I'll also be away from the 19th. My strong preference would be the 23rd or 24th.
Similar here as well.
Okay, they're coming in very thick and fast now. Any challenges with Monday the 23rd for anyone? Not knowing what else is in the crystal ball, let's look in Monday the 23rd there instead to assist with that conflict. Any further speakers for or against? Councillor Cameron.
An amendment? Thank you. I'd like to move an amendment to the point 1, an addition to that one councillor be funded to attend the regional forum. One councillor be funded to attend the regional forum. Speaking for the amendment? Or do we need a second?
I don't need a second though.
If
So,
it's acceptable to do
oh, sorry, yes, we can include it if the mover and the seconder find this acceptable.
Well, for the purposes of discussion, okay.
Are you accepting it or not accepting it?
For the purposes of discussion.
Alright. Okay, well, let me just explain. I have attended the Alba conference for the last 3 years, and I found it quite an interesting experience. And it's great to meet and mingle with lots of people from across the country and find their particular concerns. But the most interesting day from my point of view is the first day, the regional forum. And that's because we get together all the people who are from the country and who've got lots of difficulties and problems that we would be most familiar with. And I think it's really a valuable day. The second point I'd make is they do have, unlike some of the other days, they don't have really the voting part of it. What they do have is quite a number of work training sort of sessions that are really quite valuable and really quite insightful. And I think it's a good day, and I think at least one councillor will be funded to attend the regional forum.
Okay, I'm just quickly reading on the site to discover whether or not that's included with the tickets anyway for them. Look, councillors, I have no objection to this. I think conferences are actually a form of training, and having attended the National Assembly before, I found it really, really useful. With the one exception that sometimes the Metro and the regional groups are taken apart to discuss their varying issues, when sometimes I think the very presence of the Metro with the regional is part of the solution in itself. I'm happy to support that.
Thank you.
Just put support.
Yeah,
Just to make sure that's correct. It's assuming you're the one going.
No, it's not assuming any.
We'll just need
Councillor
to.
Rothwell, beside the conference.
Yes.
Use afterwards.
One additional councillor, so it's not confusing.
And I'm not sure there's enough left in the training bucket. I'm getting a nod. Fantastic.
There is.
Very, very excellent.
Need to make that one.
I was going to say, councillors, with a view to being succinct about all of this, we can bring it back to another meeting, but we may as well roll right now. Councillors, do I have a nomination?
You don't want to take.
I think it would be preferable if somebody else went.
And we said nomination.
Any further
It's a good day.
nominations? Any further nominations? Okay, that's very easy then. Great. Thank you. Councillors, I'm going to take a punt that we can vote on this in one block, but if you're feeling like you need to do this in seriatim, please speak up now. And we'll do it point by point, otherwise I'm happy to put this to the vote now.
Can I speak briefly to it?
Councillor
I
Carter.
think this is really important. I think the point you just raised a moment ago is actually a really crucial point, which is that these conferences, and there's a range of them across the year, are really important learning opportunities. And what I'd like to see though is that there is some form of effectively a roster system which is scheduled so that a range of councillors are able to attend this, because it's important that we enrich the skills of the entire council. Of course, it makes sense as mayor that you attend that, but it's important that we have an opportunity for others to be able to attend this on a rotating basis as well. So I hope that we could look to build more of a roster system for this as we move forward.
Okay, councillors, noting Councillor Carter's recommendation, I'm sure that we will proceed in the next national assembly, start seeking some interested parties and we can start putting this through over the next couple of years. Councillors, if you're ready to put this to the vote, all those in favour of the recommendation before you? That's unanimous. Councillors. Moving on to item 6.3, the modification of development consent, DA 230374, construction of footpath 75 Isabel Drive, Dundaven. We have a recommendation for us that the council will move part 3 of its resolution from the 27th of March meeting, that the developer investigates safety options at the interface of Isabel Drive to the satisfaction of council and details to be provided prior to the release of the subdivision work certificate, works to be funded and installed on development prior to the release of the subdivision certificate. The issues regarding this is that it was imposed beyond the original consent and therefore it wasn't a valid amendment. So apologies, I did not pick that up from the chair. Do we have a mover? So moved from the chair, councillors. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. Unanimous. Councillors, on to item 6.4, the applications update for February and March 2025 that have been noted. Do I have a mover? So move Councillor Rockwell, Councillor Chuck. Any comments or debate, councillors? Put that to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous. Councillors, moving on to item 6.5, the investment and borrowing report. Did I miss something?
Just a notice.
Yeah, just a second.
We're fast.
That's the nano nap, Jacob. Happens to us all.
Apologies.
Okay. 6.5, the investment and borrowing report. We have a recommendation that it be noted for the period covering the 1st to the 31st of March. So moved by Councillor McGrath and seconded by Councillor Rockwell. Councillors, any debate? All right, let's put this motion. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Now moving on to the monthly finance report for the month of March that it be noted. Do I have a mover? Councillors, look alive. We're up to 6.6, monthly finance report. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Charing. And seconded, Councillor Carter. Do you have any speakers on the motion? Just had a question from the workshop about our Victoria Park, the jump in that. While it's always lovely to see, I just wanted to check if that means we're not proceeding with the project, or if income came in for some reason, it could potentially be the Caravan Park. I'm really not sure. Or we had a really stellar month at the pool.
Through you, to you, Madam.
Yes.
Yeah, a good question. It does relate to the operations of the Caravan Park. And we've had obviously there's a range of revenue we receive and there's expenditure that comes through. And it's showing that we're receiving more revenue than expenditure. But we'll just monitor that as we end up at the end of the financial year. Noting at the end of last financial year, we had a surplus with those operations of around $27,000. So there's bound to be a drop off in revenue and maybe an uptick in some expenditure through to the end of June.
I'm sure it's coming. We had cabins that were not in great nick the last time we did a quick assessment, so I'm sure it'll be spent quickly. Okay, so we need to vote on that one. So all those in favour of the report? That's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to item 6.7, the Community Strategic Plan Update. And the recommendation for us to adopt the attached version of the Strategic Plan for 2042 and endorse council to review the approach adopted for the community engagement, the revision of the Yass Valley Community Strategic Plan 2042. Do I have a motion, councillors? So moved Councillor Carter and Councillor Rothwell. Any comments, councillors? Councillor Cameron.
I'm just a little bit unclear about when you read point 2, what does it mean? Endorse council to review the approach adopted to the community engagement for the revision of the Yass Valley Community Strategic Plan 2042. Can that be a little bit clearer? Because I'm not quite sure what it means. And, you know, is there a timeline? Is this something that's going to be done in the next 6 months, 6 years, 60 years? I'm not sure. I'm just not quite clear. It's a fairly, I don't know, fairly vague sort of statement. You know, to review the approach adopted. Is it about working through the project?
So you'll recall that we had entered an agreement with CRJO to do a regional, and then this was a sort of a piece of the regional.
Right.
So this number 2 recommendation is for council to review that approach and see if there's an alternate, better approach to the production of the community strategic plan.
Sounds good. But when is this likely to be done? Is this something that we'll be looking forward to next financial year, or?
So we need to review the approach that we've adopted and then come back and say this is what our options are.
And is there a timeline?
Not currently. We could do that this next calendar or by the end of the calendar year.
That would be most suitable. Thank you.
And you see a key document sits there for 5 years?
So this one goes to 2042.
Oh, before you need to review it. Yep.
With new revenue council.
That's right. And councillors, I think during that one of our, Councillor Fleming.
I just have one question, and I know it's probably just a heading that's used in the submission, but council confirms, this is on the second page, council confirms that the drafting of the state of the city is currently underway, and I know that we pick up terminology that's used as part of the reporting. It's just, is there a way, we don't actually have cities here.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that's the terminology that the New South Wales Government use. The document itself is called State of Yass Valley.
Yes, I understood it to be a terminology that they use. I just felt that it didn't really apply to us as,
The legislative requirement is for council to do a state city report.
Okay.
Yeah, which is what I preference.
Yeah.
And in the model, it states, you know, for your language for your documents, you can change it to state of the region or state of the shire.
Okay, thank you.
I think we also picked up during the workshop with the CRJO consultant, the consultant who was hired by CRJO to lead this process, that we could reverse a lot of the questions or tweak those questions that were done in the survey, because some of them started with, have you read the community strategic documents or the IPNR documents? And that's a pretty dry way to engage your community for the first question.
Yeah.
As opposed to some of the more interesting questions which was further down, which is, you know, what is your vision? You know, what do you want your community to look like in 10 years' time? So I think there's definitely an opportunity for us to get more bang for our buck out of that process. And I just would like to acknowledge that you know, this was achieved by our director, Ms. Peter Gardner, with not all the tools at their disposal, but not having that document in front of us. It's very hard to kind of engage with the community with that result-laden information in front of us. So thank you for making do with what we had available to produce that document. Councillors, we need to vote on that if there's no further speakers or against. Okay, all those in favour of the recommendation? That's unanimous again, thank you councillors. Moving on to item 8.1, which is the question on notice about the Murrabega playground. I will need to vacate the chair if you'd like to nominate a chair. Thank you.
Madam, before we depart, we nominate the person to take over from you.
I think I depart and you do. So, yeah, I will clear the decks.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. I nominate our esteemed colleague Councillor to take over as chair whilst our mayor is out of the room.
All in favour?
Yep.
Thank you, councillor Carr.
Just that going.
Okay. Make one Murrabega playground, there's a number of questions. The responses are there, any comments?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move a subsequent motion, but before I do that, I'd just like to thank, through you, to the CEO and to the members of the staff that put forward that report. I appreciate the responses, and obviously I'd like to move a subsequent motion to that.
Okay.
And if the executive support officer could put up what I sent her earlier, and I'll read that out for the wider audience and for the people in the gallery. Mr. Chair, I move a motion that reads that 1. Council directs the Chief Executive Officer to provide a comprehensive and comparative cost analysis of the Hercule Street site and Murrabega Red Ground site. This analysis must include, but is not limited to, A. The projected cost of securing a lease agreement for a minimum term of 15 years for the Hercule Street site. B. The estimated cost of disestablishing and removing the playground infrastructure at the conclusion of the lease. C. Any other material, financial, operational or legal costs that may impact the long-term viability, sustainability or value of either site. Point 2. Council notes that while community feedback from the online survey is very valuable, it will not be the sole determinant in the decision-making process. Point 3. The report is to be presented for the May 2025 ordinary meeting to enable a final resolution on the project's delivery site.
Thank you, Councillor Terry. Do we have a second? Councillor Carr. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, fellow councillors, I rise to move this motion with a strong sense of responsibility to both process and outcome. Allow me to begin by first acknowledging that this project means a great deal to many within the Murrabega community. I know emotions are strong, and rightly so. Delivering an all abilities playground is not just a piece of infrastructure. It is a long-term statement about inclusion, investment in young families, and to the values that we uphold as a community. I also want to make it crystal clear that I support progress, I support delivery, and I support and appreciate the continued effort that has gone into getting us to this point, including the community's engagement, the diligent work of council staff, and the voices of those who have consistently advocated for this project's completion, and in particular our Deputy Mayor, Councillor Kristen Butler. But progress must be tempered by prudence and due diligence. The motion I am putting forward in this chamber this evening does not seek to delay. On the contrary, it seeks to ensure that we move forward with our eyes wide open, that we make a final decision that is not only lawful, defensible, but most importantly financially sound. This motion supports the continuation of the survey, but with some caution. I acknowledge and accept that there will be strong opposing views to my position. In the spirit of good governance and collaboration, I support its continuation to enable a fully informed and robust debate. Having said that, I firmly believe that it would be highly responsible for this chamber to allow an online survey to be the sole basis for a $1 million investment on land that council does not own, and for which there are unquantified long-term liabilities. If we are considering building a permanent community asset on leased land, it is imperative that we know what a 15-year lease will cost the ratepayers. What will it cost to dismantle or relocate the playground if the land is reclaimed by its owners? And how those costs compare to the option that has already been subject to strategic analysis and sits on council-owned land, the Murray-Baben Rec Grounds. The 15-year timeframe is not arbitrary. It reflects the minimum and typical lifespan of playground infrastructure. When we install fixed community assets such as All Abilities playgrounds, we are making a long-term commitment. It is therefore entirely reasonable that we understand the full cost of entering into a lease arrangement of equivalent duration. If the lease ends and the site is no longer available, we face not only the cost of dismantling and relocating the equipment, but also the potential loss of public money investment unless such risks are accounted for from the very beginning. Anything less would fall short of the transparency, diligence and fiscal responsibility this council owes to our community, especially during fiscally constrained times where every financial decision is highly scrutinised by an attentive and concerned community and the Office of Local Government. Let me just clarify any confusion. The motion I put before this chamber is not about opposing a particular site, not at all. It's about equipping this elected body with the irrefutable facts that we need to make a sound and responsible decision. So I ask you, my fellow councillors, to be impartial and to demonstrate a commitment to a robust and informed process by supporting this motion, because it respects and upholds the process, it protects our future and it holds our decision making to the standard that our community rightly expects of us. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Terry. Any speakers against the
Mr.
motion?
Chair, I have some questions first of all. So the first question I think is to the CFO. Can you tell us what the current rental cost is for the playground that's situated on the Hercules Street site?
I don't have that figure at hand, but I can research that and provide that to the council over the next week.
For a follow-up question, Mr. Chair, does the current playground on the Hercules Street site constitute an asset of Yass Valley Council? Is it carried within our current rent?
I'll follow that up with the response.
Follow-up question to the acting, the Director of Planning and Environment, and I said, can you just advise the Chamber what constitutes an All Abilities playground?
Oh. Just have to get up the.
Sorry.
While you're getting that up, may I ask Councillor Chari one question? Just the May, I support what you're saying, but just the May deadline, is that an imperative or hard? I know that we want to resolve it as quickly as possible, I'm just wondering, amongst the things that we have to do, is that going to be done in that time?
It would be imperative that we bring this forward for decision, because we are now running to the right-hand boundary of usage of those funds, and we don't want to waste any more time. So, and in discussions with the CEO, if I may, I strongly firmly believe, and the advice not to take words out of your voice, Ms. Burley, but we need to get this before this chamber as soon as possible.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I would like to say that I think council can meet that deadline, and certainly that's what we have been aiming to do. The survey closes on the 12th of May, is my recollection. The information provided will be in the form of a SWOT analysis in order to be able to meet that deadline. We won't be doing deep dives into construction, detailed design or anything like that, but they'll be our best indicative costs that we can get for both sites. And we're going to have that at the May Council meeting.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for the question, Councillor Carter. Just referring back to the actual grant agreement that we have for the 750,000 under Investing in Our Communities program, we have listed out a range of equipment, but ultimately it's about the equipment and the site is accessible and usable for everyone, is my understanding. I don't have a definition, but there's been a push in New South Wales and probably across Australia around inclusive play spaces, and there are guidelines around everyone can play that refer to accessibility requirements. But I can go through the actual equipment and that sort of thing that we've specified in the grant, but essentially the designs that were prepared in the last financial year, I'm just trying to remember, they are, I think we're of the view that they are an all abilities program. Is that?
Yeah, thank you. There is a follow-up question, if I may, Mr. Chair, which is about that, which is, there is some mention of kind of compromises with respect to the Hercules Street site. Could you explain what they would include? I'm finding it hard, one level, to understand precisely what we're asking the public, given that some of this information isn't actually being made available to them at this particular point in time. Hence the question for clarity.
I think, my understanding, and through you, sorry. My understanding, I think the only compromise in terms of Hercules Street was provision of a barbecue. That is my understanding. That was raised with us recently with the Murrumbidgee Community Association, and I was advised it's the difference between a barbecue or not a barbecue in terms of reaching a category 1. But in the have your say part of the survey, there is a question. It says, where should the playground go? And it talks about if it's located in the Murrumbidgee Rec Grounds, and then what if it's located in the Hercules Street one, what would be going on the site? Like you know, the plans that we have prepared are actually, and which council has adopted, are actually based on the old school site. So in either case, we're going to have to go back and revisit the design to make sure it's fit for purpose for whichever site council decides on.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I may speak to the motion. I support the motion. I am mildly concerned that we have now turned, which in my reading of an original motion was that if it should be in the old church grounds, if not, it will be on the Murrumbidgee recreation grounds. I'm worried it would turn this into some sort of runoff. I have to admit I was really disappointed with the quality of the survey. One of my jobs is both to be on an ethics committee at the University of Canberra for nearly 11 years now, and this wouldn't have passed our requirements for a survey of fairness. And it comes down to, I think, a couple of things. The visuals suggest quite a difference in the way that it's presented, and the information itself is somewhat, I think, lacking in that sense. Now, whether or not there is an argument that the original motion passed by amendment by the Deputy Mayor Butler at our last meeting in November constituted either a rescission or a supersession. That is unclear in my mind. I'm not sure exactly why we're asking the community these questions when they don't actually have all the information at this particular point in time. It includes things like cost. Cost matters. Ownership matters. If it's not on a balance sheet, it's not ours. If there's a substantial excess cost in relation to hosting it on the church site, then that's also a burden to council, for example, and that could be and should be part of that decision-making process, and should in many ways be made available to the public to help them understand the particular decision they're making. And so I think in the spirit of fairness and transparency, I think it's really important that a number of this information is presented to both council and therefore made available to the public to help with decision making more generally. Because at the moment, it seems that we're having some sort of runoff between two sites, but actually not all information is being provided to help people make that decision. So I support the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner speaks against the motion.
No, I support it, but I think we've got to stop stuffing around and start doing something with this playground. And Hercules Street looks like a good spot. The old schoolhouse looks like a good spot. And we've got the Golden Sun off at the top, which should also be a good spot. But yeah, we do need to know the costings. I can understand that. But then let's make a decision and get the building. I think that's outside it.
Thank you, Councillor Rothwell. Any further speakers in favour of the motion? Prepared to vote? All those in favour of the motion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I declare the motion carried. Thank you. All right, call the meeting.
Well done, Alan. Well done.
Oh, thank you very much. Is it fine?
So we just started that one question, correct? Yeah, okay. So we are now up to item 8.2, the noting of the building certification question. That's sufficient. All those in favour of the motion? So, Councillor Cameron, do you have a motion?
I would like to ask a question, to be honest. Can I ask a question?
A question on the question.
Yes.
Succinctly, because I don't think we should be raising further issues unless there's a motion, so.
Okay, well, I could have a motion, but
Okay.
rather than.
If this allows you to decide whether a motion is what, how
I
would
don't
you do
think
it?
a motion is necessary. Again, in part 3, a service review will be conducted to determine, have we got a timeline on it? Because I was going to have a motion, if necessary, to have it by the end of the calendar year, like we just did, but that may not be suitable, so have I got a suggestion for a timeline?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I would like it to be resolved before the end of the calendar year. My preference is to have that options paper put forward as soon as possible. I see our only issue is garnering an independent consultant to do the report. We need to find someone who is familiar with that industry, but also with council operations as well. But certainly it's my intent to make sure that we have a resolution on that as quickly as possible. I think though, in the interest of ensuring that, just in case we do find problems in getting a suitably qualified consultant, that at the end of the calendar year would be sufficient, with the aim to be well in advance of that.
It's fine, thank you.
Councillors, let's vote on noting that. All those in favour? So noted. Councillor Cameron, you moved that, correct?
Sorry?
You have to move that?
What have I moved?
That we're noting the response to your question.
Yes.
Yes, and seconder.
I was extremely impressed. Thank you.
Sorry, just doing that in reverse, and I realised I haven't moved a seconder. Thank you, councillors. Okay. 8.3, the Craigoville Sustainability in Design Issues. We have a response following. That it will be included in the next Craigoville Precinct Monthly update. We're noting that question. Councillor Cameron. Seconded, Councillor Flannery. Those in favour? Unanimous, thank you, councillors. Moving on to item 9.1, minutes of the Murray Bateman Recreation Ground Focus Group, held on the 24th of March 2025. And I just need to seek some clarification from the Director of Planning and Environment. Having read it, I think there may be one reference to the Perfume Street, I'm not sure. That one as well. In the minutes of the Murray Bateman Recreation Ground Focus Group, is there a reference to that? Or was it only to do with the two sites?
Through you, Madam Mayor, just noting that I wasn't present at that meeting. It says in the minutes, under committee decision 3.1, it refers to council present 2 low options for community consultation to determine the alternate locations of all of these playgrounds, Beverley Street, Murray Bateman Rec Ground.
On that basis, I'm going to have to move again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was seeking clarification on. Councillors, I'm going to depart again. Apologies. So you need to select a chair again. I could have grouped those together if I remembered. Sorry. Yeah.
There you go again. All those in
Yes,
favour? Yes.
You just stood up at the end, like it was.
What's about it? We have a recommendation.
Happy to move that,
Councillor Terry, thank you. We have a second. Councillor Flannery, any discussion?
Just a comment, Mr Chair, as the only councillor I was able to attend that evening, because Councillor Butler had just left on her trip, I just want to note that that meeting was very well attended. We had close to, I do believe, from the top of my head, about 10 user group representatives in the room, and they were all very collaborative. We held a very robust discussion about what the preference was of that group as to where the best location on the rec grounds would be should the decision become that. We had to obviously corral that discussion, but in the end we were able to get a consensus and then present that recommendation as part of it. So I appreciate the collaboration that took place that evening. Thank you, Mr Chair.
Thank you, councillor. Any further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Declare the motion carried. Unanimous.
Councillors, I'll just let Councillor McGrath get seated. But I do believe that is our last item of business. Thank you very much for your attendance, and we shall close the meeting at 5:10. And thank our viewers at home. We will now close off our live stream.